It gives you perspective. It gives you ideas. It's everything. Soccer. Yep. Sacrificing soccer. Oh, that little coach boy. So cute. Bachelor. Emily, we've never seen The Bachelor. We have no idea. Like, we have no idea.
I was like, I don't even know if I've watched it at all.
We'd probably be into
Ever.
I'm kind of into like crime. I'm not going to go into the detail of what shows I like, but Eric finds it really freaky of the things that I'm into.
I will not watch the shows that she watches sometimes.
Anyway.
Yeah. I already went ahead and hit record. So we are just so excited for tonight's call because we have TJ
in the house.
He's going to be sharing some knowledge about audience analytics and how we can leverage those things from social media and helping people and just reach more people as well. So with that,
and he has a nice haircut.
He does have a nice haircut.
I'm into it. It's like the fade. I like it. It looks good.
What did our friend say? It's quaff, right? Quaff is the technical term.
Sounded too much like queef.
I don't know. Whatever. Anyways.
Anyway, we're gonna give it over to TJ.
Oh man. Well, that's quite the introduction, guys. Well, I'm happy to see Faye, earmuffs down there. Say hello. Oh man, I love it. All right, well, how's everybody doing tonight? I know we all went in there and said, what we're giving up and sacrificing, so I greatly appreciate your time tonight, and I promise we won't waste it, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. You can see that? Okay. All right, nod with me if you can see this, yes? Okay, cool. All right. All right, so this is part 8 of 12. What a journey. I mean, here we are in August. This rounds out probably the second phase of what we're doing here. The first phase was introductions. So we did an introduction to a website. We did introductions to email and how that works. We did an introduction to all the social media platforms and the diversity that they have. And then we also did an introduction to analytics. So that was the first phase. The second phase, we went into a little bit more advanced of it. And that's what leads us here today. So this is part 8. This rounds out the second phase where we're going to still continue to talk about our audience and how to build our audience. But now we want to take a step back and kind of understand a little bit more about our audience. So that's what tonight's topic is all about. All right. Tonight's agenda, we're going to do a quick introduction and overview. We're going to talk about Instagram, Facebook, and Google Analytics, right? I'm not going to waste time bringing up some of the email stuff. We can cover that in its own section. And then some of the other social media platforms, we can cover that in their section too. So with that said, let's get right into it. Okay, guys? All right, this is your first time joining. Welcome. I'm Julianne's brother, TJ. I go by Thomas sometimes. So if you find me on LinkedIn, that's what I'm all about. There we go. All right, so let's jump right into it, guys. Okay, so we're going to talk about Instagram. And as I was putting together this deck, I'm starting to kind of think about what I want to talk about when it comes to analytics. And I felt like probably the best way to go about this is to treat it just like a normal conversation. So when I sit down with somebody and they want to know a little bit more about their Instagram, or they want to understand a little bit more about what's working, this is how I start, this is how I go about it, and this is how I begin to identify what's working and what's not. So it's different for everybody. I'm going to use some examples today. One of them is going to be Julianne. We're going to get to with Facebook and the analytics side of things. But just know that it is different for everybody, but this is where you look to figure out, what we're talking about. Okay. All right. So first things first, we want to understand how we access our analytics. Okay. So when you're looking at your Instagram profile, up in the top right, there's a little icon. Okay. It's like a little bar chart. This is how you're going to get to your insights. Okay. If you don't see that, it means your profile is just a normal Instagram profile. Nothing wrong with that. You're still going to be able to see some insights on your individual posts and in your stories and things of that nature, but you're not going to be able to see what we're talking about here today. So if you don't see that, just feel free to take your Instagram and just switch it into the settings. You can Google some steps on how to do that. And it's very, very helpful to get to where we're going. Okay. The next place you can find your insights and your analytics is on the individual post. Okay. So when you're looking at your post, there will be a little button down there that kind of says promote it. They want you to boost this post, spend $5, $10, $20, get it out to a bigger reach, get it out to a bigger audience. That is very, very helpful. And it's good to know that the insights of that individual post as well. And last but not least, your stories. Okay. I think that's probably one of the most ones that everybody goes to, because everybody wants to know who's seeing it, who's looking at it, what's going on. So we'll get into a little bit of that as well. Okay. So just to recap, we're going to be talking about the overall insights to what we have here. We're going to be looking at our profile visits, our follows, our website clicks, and all those things in that nature. Okay. All right. So here's a little bit of overview and activity. So when you click on your insights, this is the first screen that you see. This is where I spend the majority of my time. Okay. I want to know in that top section, I know it's kind of moving, I put an animated GIF in there, but in that top section, we talk about the interactions. Okay. This is pretty cool, because this is going to tell you how many people are actually engaging with your profile and your post and so on. So for instance, last month, we talked about driving traffic, right? We talked about getting out there and hitting hashtags and engaging and making comments and doing things. Now we want to know, is that paying off? Okay. Are people coming to visit our profile? All right. This interaction section is going to tell you your profile visits. This is how many people come to your profile in the last 7 days. Okay. So in this example, it has 460. You can see the different days. I know it's moving. I apologize for that, but you can see the different days, like on Thursdays and Sundays, and when that traction is coming. So if I want to understand how the audience for an Instagram, how it's engaging, when they make a post or they're doing something, how many people are coming back to their profile, and then how many are doing website clicks, how many are submitting an email, how many are calling for more information, trying to find directions, all those call to actions that you see on on other Instagram profiles. This is where you're going to find those metrics. So it's really, really important to have a grasp of how many people are coming to your profile, and then how many are actually taking action. So website clicks and those kind of things of that nature. So that is a really, really helpful spot before you get into the content and the audience and understanding the cities and the states and wherever they're coming from and all this. You really need to know, just again, how many people are coming to your profile and what they're doing. So that is the very first. They put it there for a reason, and it is probably one of the most important. Okay. The second section below that is the discovery section. Okay. This is going to be more of an example of how often your posts are seen by other people. Okay. So if you only made one post a week, that discovery is going to be really, really low, right? The more posts you make, the more people it's going to see, the higher reach, the more impressions you're going to get, and so on and so on. If you don't use hashtags, that number is going to be a little bit lower. So if you're wondering which hashtags work and which ones don't, from a discovery standpoint, this is going to be really helpful. So you're going to be able to look back at your last 7 days and see how many people you're reaching, how many impressions you're getting. That's how many eyeballs that are seeing it. And, and just what days of the week they fall on. And that's going to kind of give you an idea of what post is working and what's not. So when you're trying to understand what the profile is, this is where I start. I want to know how many people are coming to the profile, what they're doing, and I want to know what days of the week, from the most recent post are getting the most traction. And if I see a really big spike on, let's say, a Sunday or a Monday or whatever day it was, I'm going to go back and now hone in on that day and see what post it was that got so much reach and so much exposure. Okay. I know I'm flying through that a little bit, but it's a really important step when you first get into your insights to really take a look at that and understand a little bit more about how your profile is doing. Okay. Next, the data for the content. Okay. So this is the next tab over. Okay. So, you have your insights. Now you're going to have your content, and then you're going to have your audience at the very end. So with your content, right, this is where you can look at your post. Okay. You can sort it by year, month, week. You can look back to a big time frame, a small time frame. It's all really helpful. You can sort it by impressions, engagement, comments, likes, how many people it reached, how many times somebody came to visit my profile. Side note with this, Julianne, on one of the groups that we're in, somebody had made a post on there, and they were talking about how they were able to see some of the traffic, you know, how many profile visits that post got, and something like that. And I think the post ended up getting taken down, or they removed it, or whatever it was. But during that time, I was writing this whole paragraph of, oh my gosh, that's so great, because when you look at the data that goes into the post, and you know, you're looking at how many people viewed it and what that reach means, this is where you're going to find that data, and this is where you're going to be able to compare which post works better than others. Okay, you have to take into account the time of day it goes. You're going to have to take into account the day of the week it goes. You're going to have to take into account the actual content. Is it of a face? Is it of a scenery? Is it of food? You know, you're going to have to take all these different variables into factor to know what you're comparing to. If you just want to look at all your posts of all time, that's going to be helpful. But if you kind of want to know, man, I'm doing these workout videos. I'm doing one, you know, every couple days. I've been doing it for the last month. They're really short. They're about 30 seconds long. I want to know how those are doing. You would jump to your content section here. You would, you know, maybe change it to the last month, because that's when you know all those posts are. And then go through whatever metric you're looking for. If you want to know how many people reached, if you want to know how many people viewed it, you can start to change the different elements in here and be able to see how they stack against one another, and begin to kind of figure out which one's working. If I see one has 200 views versus one that only has 50 views, well, why did that one have 200 views? Was it because it was a Tuesday? Was it because it was at 10 o'clock at night? Or was it because, you know, it was a really quick and easy sit-up workout that's, you know, 2 minutes long or something? I don't know. You guys get the idea. So the content section is really, really helpful, but you can spend a lot of time in here and trying to figure out stuff that, I mean, you know, it's how much time you want to really understand what it is. And it is helpful to know, but just understand that don't get stuck down that wormhole, you know. It is good to know. Okay, and this also applies to your stories. When you get to your stories, same thing, all right? This is the screen. I can't see it because I got a window over here. This is what I'm talking. Oh, that's nice. This is the screen I'm talking about, where you change, if you just want to look at your posts, if you want to look at your videos, if you want to look at your stories, if I want to see the engagement, the impressions, and stuff like this. This is what I'm talking about when you click on that top thing up there, and be able to switch that up. So it's really helpful, and put it on Insights. Okay, let's get. All right, here's for the audience. Okay, so this is the last tab on here, and it's also really important to take a look at it. But it's going to tell you some stuff, but it's think of it more long term, right? You don't want to check every day. This isn't going to tell you that much difference between today and yesterday, and so on. But check it maybe once a month. Maybe, you know, maybe some of this, you know, maybe there was a city that is maybe, you know, you have followers from that you really didn't think that was, you know, maybe a target for you. Maybe, you know, this really shouldn't be a shocker. You know, your age range should, you know, be, all these things should be pretty understanding. What's important to note, though, is at the bottom, okay, there's the followers. This will tell you the days of the week that they're most active, and even the times of the day that they're most active. So if you spent your time in understanding, okay, I've known my profile for the last week, I know how many profile visits I'm getting, and I'm seeing how many website clicks I'm getting, you know, I know that I'm getting X amount of reach, I took a look at my content, I'm able to see what's working and what's not, that's great. I really want to do another video because I saw that works. But when's the best time of day to post it? Well, go to this screen, and you can, this is for your followers. These are the people that already follow you. It'll tell you what time of day they're most active on. That's the day, that's the time you want to aim for. Day of the week, same thing. So, you know, those are kind of the bars that you're going to be looking for when you're trying to understand your audience and where they're coming from. Those are the three main tabs, and that's really how I use them. And that's how I'm recommending, you know, you would use them. You know, you just kind of dig in there and kind of see a little bit more on what it is. So hopefully that's a little bit helpful, right? The last thing for Instagram is I provided some other tools here, okay? So these are 3 websites that are all free. They're going to require some sort of login information type thing. But what these do is these will come into use for maybe helping you understand a little bit more about you know, what we're talking about today. You know, if you feel like it's a little bit, you know, maybe not as direct as some, you know, other applications that you're used to, these are a helpful tool to maybe help you understand some other insights. Maybe it's a hashtag that works better than others. So let's get right to it, okay? I'm sorry, I have my notes over here. You get it. All right, so this is the Social Bakers, right? This is a free report. It's pretty simple. You're going to see the most liked posts, your most commented posts, your most popular filters, your top hashtags, the people you tag the most often, all helpful feedback. You should already pretty much know a lot of that stuff, but those are going to be helpful tools. But it has a dashboard interface that's kind of neat. And it provides a monthly chart and kind of aggregates this data for you. So again, if you feel like getting into the analytics is just maybe it's not giving you enough pop or enough, whatever you're looking for, this might be a helpful app. The second one is this unionmetrics.com. This one really is going to help you find the best time to post. This dashboard looks kind of cool, but it's really basic. So it's not going to tell you much more than what's already in the insights. But it does help identify those time of days and which followers to really go after most. Okay. Last but not least, square11.com. All right. So this one's pretty good. They have a good optimization section in there. Basically the worst times to post, again, helping you understand a little bit more about your audience and when they're active. This one helps you show the hashtags that you've used, and then it actually brings in a list of other hashtags that are also popular that are kind of related. So it's a helpful tool to kind of, maybe gauge yourself a little bit and what hashtags you have been using, what's working, and, maybe what can possibly go from there. All right. That's Instagram. Okay. Now let's get to a little bit more of the fun stuff, right? For Facebook and Google Analytics, I'm going to do this a little bit different. Traditionally, throughout this whole year, we've had a slide where I'm trying to come up with talking points and something that's easy that hopefully you guys can remember and it'll stick with you. But I felt like, again, at the beginning of this, the best way to do it is just to walk you through how I look at these and how, it's probably the best way, right? All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get into this. All right, Julianne, here you are. So this is
supposed to stand on that. Yeah, get down.
All right, so this is Julianne's Facebook page. This is looking at a page from the business manager point of view. If you ever want to see what your page looks like to a visitor, this is a very helpful trick. If you click on those three dots and you look as a page visitor, this is just a nice way to help you understand what your audience is seeing. Okay. So when they come to your page, this is a great way to start, to put yourself in their shoes and say, okay, now they're walking into your store. What are they thinking? What are they seeing first? Do the tabs on the side, do those make sense? Do you have your questions set up for when they get there right away? Do you have your important information of like your website and things like this? Okay. So this is nice. You can jump into your analytics on some of these. Well, not on this screen, but sorry, I got to jump back. But you can look at them individually on your own post. Don't judge my Facebook feed. Don't judge my Facebook feed. It's so private. Okay, so you can look at, when you scroll through your feed, you can look at those individual posts, kind of like how we were talking about in Instagram. You can dig into the post itself and try to understand a little bit more about it. But what we're here today is we're going to talk about more like a top level view, okay? So when you have a business page and you're on the business manager side of it, you're going to see this toolbar at the top. Where I start every time is the insights, okay? Just like we do with Instagram. I want to get a top level view. I want to see a little bit of what the last month has been like, maybe the last couple of days, and just get a pulse of where we're at with things, okay? Don't take these numbers so literal. They fluctuate from week to week. Facebook's a hard item to hit. So there's, unless you're posting every day at the same time or whatever, you're going to see influxes that go up and down with you. All right. One thing that's really helpful here is it takes your most recent post and it'll give you some helpful tips here. It'll tell you how many people it reached. It'll tell you some helpful information on your engagement, and give you the option to boost that post and take it a little bit step further. So if you want to look at your content and what's working and what's not, that's a great way to see what posts got the most shares and really got out there and really caught some fire. Pages to watch. Okay. This is really, really helpful as well into add some other pages that are on Facebook. Like we have The Rock in there because why not aim for that? Heck, man, if we could get 57.8 million page likes, that'd be pretty cool. So, 3.3K, we're on our way. But this is a really helpful tool to see what other competitors, they might be colleagues, not even competitors. They just might be you're a fan of or somebody that is in the industry. This is a great way to see what they're doing, how many posts they did this last week, how their engagement is going, and how you kind of stack up to that. So if I expand that list down, I think we have like 15 or 16 in here that range lower and higher and above and below. And it's just, you want to keep a pulse on it. So this is a really helpful place to get started, to really understand, how your page is doing, how it's doing among the market, and understanding kind of how your audience is interacting with it. Okay. So you can click on your followers. You can see, you can choose a time frame, like a range from it. It'll tell you, what the net is. This is very, very helpful. Okay. If you see that your net followers, that you're getting people that unfollow you, that's okay. Like people are going to leave. No problem. No worries. It's a numbers game. Remember last month we talked about getting a funnel and getting as many people in that funnel as possible. And once you get them in there, then converting them. Okay. So we want to make sure that those people that come into the funnel aren't leaving. So we want to know what posts we're doing. We want to know just basically for the last month, how the followers are going, and are we still heading in that positive trend, which we are. Okay. So that's really, really good. I gotta move this thing. Where the page follows happen, that's really helpful too, is understanding how they found you. Did they find you through a post? Did they find it because somebody shared it? Or did they search for you, or some other way that they landed there too? So sorry, excuse me, I need a cough button. I'm dying over here, guys. So anyway, so you can dig into this. It's helpful, but it's really, again, kind of with that Instagram theme that we were talking about. When you're trying to understand your audience, it's a big picture. You want to see the big trends. You want to see what's working over time. It's not going to be that one post all of a sudden. If you keep doing that one post time after time after time after time, you're going to all of a sudden hit success, success, success. It doesn't quite work like that. Again, there's a lot of factors that go into it and stuff. So when you're understanding your audience and you're taking a look at this, keep your eyes, down the road, keep looking at the big picture and just, taking a look back and understanding what the trends are like, overall. Does it look like it's good? All right. So back to this overview part. So this is, really there's not much to it when you're trying to understand your audience and where they come from. When it comes to Facebook, okay. You just want to mostly understand your engagement. Are they engaging with the content that you're posting? Are they sharing it? Are they liking it? That's good stuff. And if you have a formula that's getting out there and it's working, keep doing it. Okay. All right. So some fun stuff to do. And this is what we did last week when Julianne and I were talking, and we were going down this. I found a nifty little trick with, anyway, if you click on the person when you're in here, it'll show you what those posts are. And let me pause here for a second. This is kind of helpful. So if you put somebody in here that you want to watch, right? It's another page or something like that. So let's say this Natalie, she has 30 posts from this week, and I click on her. Here's the top posts. So it'll show you, these are what the posts that got the most traction and the most engagement on her page. So any page that you follow, anybody that you want to keep an eye on, Facebook will help you with this to where you can jump in here and kind of see, oh, what are they doing? So if you have a colleague, if you have, somebody that you collab with or something else or whatever, and just anything in the industry, if there's somebody that you really like their content and you really want to do kind of what they're doing or kind of, go with that vibe, getting into their page and seeing what their top posts are is extremely helpful. So you can scroll through and see, wow, okay, like, all right, maybe I could do something like that. Maybe I could do something like, maybe it's some inspiration. Okay. So it's a really helpful place to understand that, if you align yourself with some of these type of things, let's see what Sean T did. Curious. Dun, 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 dun. Hip hop abs. Sounds about right. Oh, look at this. See, everybody could do this. Donut Friday, throw some trophies, that kind of stuff. That's what works, right? If you're ever looking for, I want to know what other people are out there. What's the differentiator? Like what's working and what's not? This is a great place to start. All you do is just add them in there and it does the rest for you. Okay. All right. So back to the page. So one of the things that we did last week was Facebook introduced a new tool probably about 6 months or so ago, but now it's finally making it to the public. And what it is, it's all centered around privacy. Okay, I don't know if you heard, but Facebook is coming out with like little pop-up health clinics, if you will, like privacy clinics, where I think the first one's going to be in London. But what it is, it's like a little coffee shop that you come in and you get free coffee and you get things. And what they do is they're there to help you with your privacy. So you come in there and you can take your Facebook profile and they will tell you, hey, this is what's visible. This is, who has your content, and really make you self-aware of what advertisers out there and other marketers are getting of your data. Okay. So Facebook is really taking this initiative to help create that transparency that people can see what content is being offered to them and who's doing it and so on and so on. Okay. One of the things that they're doing, this is kind of neat, is on each, each fan page, each business page, there's a section where it has the page transparency. Okay. It's right here. So if you click on this will give you information about any page that you go to. So if you're on your phone right now, I don't even know if you can do this by phone. I apologize. I don't have a phone in front of me. But if you're on your computer and you're, able to go to any Facebook page that you follow, you're going to see that little box and you're going to be able to see this information, right? So you're going to be able to see when it was created. You're going to be able to see how many people manage it, Julianne and I. You're going to be able to see the page history. You're going to be able to see, just some top level stuff. Nothing really too terrible, crazy in there. But it was kind of fun because what we started to do was, Julianne, what was one of the examples that we went to go look at? Like that we typed in?
Rachel Hollis was one of them. Because if you look at all of her content, you're like, how is she doing all of this? And then I'm like, oh, she has 30 plus people managing her page. This makes sense. Or Beachbody has 7 sponsored posts that are all the same. Like, it was so powerful.
Right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's exactly where we wanted to get to. Okay, so here's a page, right? This is one that if I were to expand on that insights that I was talking about where we have those pages that listed down, this is where you would see, an example of how her page is doing as well. But if I scroll down, here's this little page transparency. I want to click this. Holy cow. Okay, so this is what we did. I remember this now. So she has, if you take Canada, India, and Jamaica and one other location, whatever it is, she has almost 30 people, over 30 people managing her page. Okay. If you ever are comparing yourself to a page and how they're doing it and where this content is coming from, or, how this stuff is happening, just look at this. Like, you'll be able to see how many people are managing their page. It's kind of a helpful insight thing. If you're curious of what another page is doing and how it's going, that can be really, really neat. I think we typed in Will Smith. I think that was a good one, but I don't think he had that many, which is kind of cool because then it shows you that Will Smith is like doing his thing. All right. All right. Maybe we won't go down that road. Okay. Computer's kind of freezing. Okay. So, there we are. All right. One of the other things that comes with this is advertising, and I don't necessarily have a great example.
Do Beachbody, because I just think that
oh, that's right,
revenue of how people hear about them outside of like a coach is really powerful.
Yes, ma'am. That's a good call. All right, here we are. 1.7 million people. Yeah. Wow, dang. 70 people managing this page, right? All right, so some pages, if you look at it, at the bottom of this little section here, it has ads from this page, right? It says this page is currently running ads. Hey, you know what? Let's go check these ads out. Let's see what happens. Boom. Here you go. So this shows what Beachbody is currently putting money behind for ads right now, right? So these are all their ads. Okay, this is what they're running. This is what they're using. You know, this is content. This is, you know, if you see content that comes to you, you know, you're a fan, you follow this stuff, you're going to see this. But if you ever want to take a step further and see what else is out there, this goes for any product. We can type in anything in this, and they'll tell you these are all their ads. You can see, this is kind of neat too, right? So you're seeing some of the same one right here, right? Like these two are the same, and then look, they're all down here, and it continues on. What this means is, it means Beachbody is doing one ad that's targeted to one demographic, another one that goes to another demographic or location or whatever it may be, and another one to another, and so on and so on. So they're running essentially, what, 6 of the same ad, you know, run into different things. Here's their summer sales flash. Here's their other ones. So this is kind of helpful. And what it does is you can type in anything in this. Let's see. So this little ad library is pretty cool. Am I doing it right? Yeah. What do we got in here? See, they're not running ads. So it doesn't work for everybody. It's not the same. It doesn't go so much like that. But it's a helpful tool, right? So if you're understanding your audience, you're understanding, hey, you know, I'm understanding where my visitors are coming from. I'm understanding what my audience looks like. You know, maybe I need a little bit more content ideas or something like that. Facebook, looking into the data and looking into some of these avenues and some of these rabbit holes, there's some really cool stuff that's kind of in there. You know, anyway, I'm just going to leave you with that. It's pretty neat. Okay.
I want to add something to that.
Yeah.
I think I think it's really healthy to invest back into your business. Now that can mean doing t-shirts for your team. That could mean whatever. But in the beginning, when Eric and I started our business, a way that I and Eric invested into our business is that we ran ads, and either that or paid for a third-party tool in the beginning to market to other people. But I'm thinking about these targeted ads, and you could go to someone like Ashley Molstead or whatever who has a business page and see, like, what is the title of their advertisement? Like, what kind of video are they showing? And you can go recreate that and then put money back into your business, right? Say you sell Shakeology, you get $30. Imagine using 10 of those dollars to do something to invest back into your business. So that's kind of what's catching my eye, especially that Beachbody. And there's a ton of YouTube videos of how you could successfully run an ad. But the fact that my brother is showing us this is really powerful, because I'm like, I could run 6 different ads for like $1 or $5 or whatever, and target all these different people and get more people. I signed up coaches when I would target run ads on my business page. Like, I would sign up clients because they would see my content somewhere. And you can do this with Instagram as well. But I think it's really helpful to see, oh, this video works. This type of description is better. And then you can target it to all different things.
Can I also on to there? When you guys reinvest into your business, those things become tax write-offs later. So
Tax man.
I am the tax man. And if you are like giving $10 towards social media advertising, you can write that off at the end of the year and get money. So just a little side note.
I'm glad you added that.
That's a really good tip from both of you. Dang, I always forget about the taxes. Like that, I'm awful. I need an Eric.
You can off.
There are so many things.
Yeah.
That'll be another call. I need to do a Zoom on
right. But on the geeky side of things, you know, when you're talking about segmenting the ads and going after people, you know, I call that prospecting. You know, you're out there, you're trying to find new followers, new, you know, purchasers, new conversions, and so on. You know, you can actually take your ads. You can have different messages in your ads. You can have multiple creative. You can have the same creative, and you can split it with different demographics. You can mix and match. You can say, I want this message to this one to that one, set it all up however you want. The cool thing is you can set it from the same budget. You don't have to overthink, maybe I should put $5 here, maybe I should put $10 here, maybe I should do 15 on this one, maybe I should do 50 this month, you know, and so on and so on. You really can let the budget optimization from what Facebook does do it for you. Now, we're not talking about a boosted post. When you do a boosted post, you're boosting that post and you're basically, you know, think of it like a rocket. You're just aiming and you just let it go. And it's going to do good. It's going to do fine. But when we're talking about actually running an ad, it gets really, really cool in what you can do in there and how you can let Facebook optimize it for you and figure out how to spend. Like if you're going after a Hispanic market because you found that you are getting a good response from them, that demographic really fits with what you're saying. Well, Facebook will include that, but if it doesn't think it's doing it right, it'll shift that money to where it thinks the audience is running better. So it might be 20 to 24, and it's, you know, so on and so on and so on. So, you know, when you're trying to think these things and kind of think about different ways to do it, there's a lot of cool methods to go about it. The second thing that Julianne said, you know, when you're talking about boosting a post or promoting something from Instagram, that's kind of what I was saying to that. Like, it's kind of a one shot, you hit the button, give them the $25 or whatever it is that you want to go for, and you let it go. Facebook owns Instagram. So if you really truly want to run an Instagram ad, you would actually start with Facebook and set it up through there. And then when you get into the ad settings, just say only show on Instagram, and it'll go from there. But it still provides you all those same features of how you target and where the locations are, and the ages and so on and so on. So if you ever want to have a little bit more conversation about actually how to run an ad on that, the next sessions, like the next series that we're doing of these, the next 4 months, are all targeting sales. We're all talking about how to get out there and actually convert a sale. And that involves a little bit more advertising, a little bit more prospecting. So, so this kind of wraps up Facebook, right? All right, so we got to keep moving because I'm wasting a lot of time here, guys, and I apologize for this. All right, so this is the last one, last but certainly not least, Google Analytics, okay? We just spent a lot of time on Instagram and Facebook. Those are really, really helpful, but nothing compares to what you have if you have a website and where it's coming from and how that traffic is getting there, okay? So here's a couple things that I do when I first get in here. The homepage is pretty obvious. It's pretty helpful. It's going to tell you a lot of really neat things about where your source is, like, you know, how the traffic is getting there, what time of day, where they're coming from, what pages are getting the most, and so on and so on, and how the ads and stuff are doing in there. So that's helpful, but really where I go to first and foremost is I want to look at the location, right? So let me get my little window down here. There we go. Okay, so this is, I'm just going to do this. All right. All right, so this is going to be really helpful for just knowing where your audience is coming from. First things you're going to want to do is like fix your date. So we're just going to go back to, I think, Julianne, we started working with your analytics back then. And kind of get a helpful idea. Okay, so this is where all the traffic that we're getting to Julianne's website for the last year, okay? So, all right, so United States, that's really helpful. I might want to take a look in there real quick and just kind of get a good idea of where the traffic is coming from. It's pretty spread across. I'd still love to have all 50 states, but, you know, we're not getting there yet. You know, but I can see that, dang, you know, California, that makes sense. Wisconsin, that makes sense. Hey, New York, okay, that kind of sneaks on there. Illinois, that kind of sneaks on there. Florida, I might be responsible for that one, not going to lie. And then Texas, okay? So, you know, it's a little bit helpful, but this doesn't really tell us anything. This isn't really going to help us understand what our audience is. It just kind of, just like Instagram and just like Facebook, it's helpful to know that they're from these places, but we really want to know a little bit more about them, right? Okay. So the next place I go is I want to know, what devices they're using to get to my page, okay? I want to know, are they coming through their phone? Are they coming through their desktop? Are they coming on their tablet, right? Like, I want to know, I'm going to look at it from week to week. Let's go from month to month. So if I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, I'm looking at the traffic and I'm going, man, we had a lot of traffic at the beginning of the year or at the end of 2019. And as we got into the end of 2018 and beginning of 2019, we were working a lot with our email campaigns. We were optimizing the website. We just made some improvements to it. We were really trying to figure out and understanding where the audience was coming from and how it was getting here. This is how we did it, right? We drove traffic. We tried to find people coming in. We wanted to understand, are most of them coming through their phone? Are they coming through a desktop? Are they coming through their tablet? It's a pretty obvious 71% are coming through their phone, right? That's really, really helpful. So because I kind of know that's where the majority of my traffic is coming from, that's what I'm going to focus on the most, right? So analytics has this really cool feature up here that you can segment your audience, right? So I just want to see just my mobile traffic, right? So there it is. There's all my mobile traffic. If I wanted to add in desktops and tablet and desktop traffic, there you go. You'll be able to see how the two compare, right? Very similar. We have a peak at the beginning and kind of goes out at the end. But really, we're going to focus on mobile because that's 70% of what we're talking about here. All right, so now that we understand our audience a little bit more, we know that the majority of the traffic is coming through mobile. That's really helpful. Now I need to know where are they coming from, okay? So where you go through is a tab called the acquisition, right? I'm going to go with all traffic, and I'm going to go to my source and medium. Now what the source and medium does, this tells us what the source is. So that's like Facebook, my Instagram, might be email, it might be direct traffic, it might be ads that we're running. And then the medium is it email? Is it a referral? Is it organic? And so on. I'll kind of get to that in a second. So what I have here is, again, I'm using that same, we're only looking at our mobile traffic. We're only talking about 71% of our audience. And we're looking at where this traffic came from, right? So I can see right there at the top, man, Facebook, right there. So from mobile, Facebook is driving 25% of my visits, right? Instagram, 24%. Our newsletter, ranking on the board with 20%. And then at 18% direct, that means that somebody is typing in our address and coming directly there. They're not searching for it through Google. They're not, they're just coming directly to it. That's really interesting. That's really good. So now I'm able to understand where the traffic is coming from, and I'm able to, maybe dive down one of those. So if I'm trying to say I'm understanding what my audience is, I want to know what's working, right? If we started at the very beginning with Instagram and we said, all right, I want to look at how many profile views I'm getting. I want to look at how many website clicks I'm getting. Okay, and if it says 2 in there, or 10 in there, or whatever it is, that's really helpful. And now it's telling me that people are clicking to go to my website. Now, if your website is Facebook or whatever it is that you're driving that traffic to, you're going to want to go on that end and sure it up, make sure that those numbers match. So if I'm over here and I'm seeing that I'm getting this many clicks through to the website, I want to make sure that I come on here and see, okay, well, on Instagram, wow, I'm getting 177, 25% of those clicks. Okay, that's really good, right? Now that I want to know, understand my audience, I want to know where they're going next. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another audience of Instagram sessions, right? Actually, I'm going to add in Facebook. So this is just of our mobile traffic. This is just our Instagram and our Facebook sessions. And this is going to be a helpful, and it's actually going to shorten up my days because what this is. But this is really helpful to understand, how they're going and just where they're coming from, okay? So next is, sorry, I'm looking at the clock, and I apologize, guys. I'm like killing you here. I could go on forever about this stuff, and I know that's not what we want to do today. So let me just get into a couple other things real quick. The site content, understanding where the landing pages are, understanding what people come to is really helpful. So, knowing that my landing pages, where I'm trying to drive traffic to, if it's a challenge that we're trying to do, if it's a recipe that we're doing, if it's a marketing section that we're trying to do, all that stuff is really helpful. But looking at the behaviors, looking at the bounce rates, looking at the pages per sessions, how long did they spend on the page? Did we set any goals? Did they hit those goals? If I have a goal of visiting 3 pages or more, I want to know that the people that landed on my homepage, 240 people, which is almost 30%, right? 42% of that 30 or whatever it is, actually completed the goal where they went through and visited at least 3 pages. So you can really set up a lot of neat things in your analytics to understand when your traffic is coming in. So, I'm going to wrap it up with this. Last month, I'm just going to get out of here because I feel like I'm killing it. All right. So last month we talked about building our audience, right? Getting a funnel, getting as many people in there as possible, right? Like hashtags, get out there, be active, engage, comment, so on and so on and so on. Okay. This month is understanding what that traffic does, right? When you're looking at your Instagram, just understand, are they interacting with you and what they're doing? You can focus on what content works and what doesn't, but just, get a feel for that pulse for it. Facebook, the same thing. If you have a website, drive the traffic to there and get your analytics hooked up, because it's going to tell you so much about the behavior of what they're looking at and what they're doing. And now you're going to be able to have a full story of that journey. You're going to be able to see what they're doing from Instagram and what from Facebook and how that all relates to what your content is on your website. I'm sorry, guys. It was 45 minutes, 50 minutes. What was that like? I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. That is so good. Like, I literally, if all of you understand what he's saying, is that you don't have to wing this business. You don't have to be like, there's ways and systems to be able to do this, that you have traffic coming into your business. So it's not just you being a caveman and trying to message everybody all the time. Like, I hope that's what you're gathering. And it can be overwhelming, because it's anything new can be that way. Overwhelm is a choice, but it's just this idea of, wait, I can use this as a resource when I'm ready for it. Here's an example. T, you can jump off. I love you. Like, I love you. I love you. And thank you for today.
And I apologize to everybody. I'm sorry. All right.
Apologize. Girls, apologizing. Anyway, I love you. But all of our Success Club points that are about to roll in are not because we had to go find people and reach out to people. It's they found us. Like, that's where our business is getting to right now, based on all these things my brother is teaching. And he's not on here, but also, like, he works with people. You can partner with him. He has payment plans and things like that. It's not outrageous. It's actually quite awesome for what Kim has partnered with him. And it's what you get with him is not what you get with, like, a company that just flat rate charges you. He does it based all on activity. So, like, that's another thing. But literally, I've had people want to actually coach and want to do challenges long term, all because they found the website, they found the Instagram, they found all these things. And I'm like, that's where we want to get to in our businesses. We don't want to be a hamster wheel. We don't want to be spending all of our time searching, right? If we can work smarter, that's the goal. That's the goal, to maximize success, minimize time. And that's what's awesome. Eric prepped for this last part. He has 9 minutes. We stay to the time. I'm proud of that. I think it might be a little bit difficult because I see all of his wonderful notes there, and it's going to be powerful. So stick on. Let's do this thing. He's going to crush it. I'm going to move.
All right, switching gears. First off, I just, like, while he was speaking, a lot of the things that kind of stood out to me while I was looking at my own Instagram was that I need to have more pull and interactions on my stories, because it's just like me working out still. And that if I want to use the analytics tools, you need to be posting I can't even say that word, consistently, to make those even more valuable to you. So those are 2 things that stood out to me. Now kind of switching gears, I want to respect your time. So to really kind of preface what I had prepped for you today, was I wanted to piggyback off of what Lauren Lundberg's call was on last week. And that was, like, kind of taking one day at a time and really kind of crushing the what ifs in your life. So I had a quick little story, and this is a story that I totally made up, but I'm going to talk about the principles at the end and ways that you can kind of apply it to your life and questions you can ask yourself. So just indulge me. here for a second, you can take yourself back to a magical place if you would like, and just like close your eyes or do whatever to kind of visualize the story. But because I kind of wrote it kind of childish, but it has a powerful message. So once upon a time, there were two tribes living in a beautiful valley in the mountains of Nepal. The valley was a prosperous place to grow crops for over thousands of years. However, one year, the rains that kept the valley plentiful with food disappeared. The tribe survived, but knew they couldn't face another year in the drought. The following year comes, and the rains do not follow. The people of the tribe start to panic because food is running low. The leaders of both tribes knew something needed to be done. Both knew from old tales that there was possibly a fertile valley to the west across the mountains, and this mountain range was massive, which would be their best chance to survive. So each gathered their tribes, and both told them that we are going to need to cross the mountains to the west to make it to the unknown valley, because they believe that there's some unknown valley there where like land is plentiful and they can plant a bunch of crops. So the northern tribes, during preparation for their journey, would wake up. The northern tribesmen, during preparation for their journey, would wake up every morning and repeat what their elder had said to them, was that we are going to make it over the mountain. So they would repeat this over and over. We are going to make it over the mountain. We are going to make it over the mountain. We are going to make it over the mountain. So they believed it in their hearts. The southern tribe's leader, during preparation for the trip, repeated or said this to his tribes: we're going to make it over the mountain. We are going to make it over the mountain. We are going to make it over the mountain. But in their hearts, fear started to stir up, and the mantra turned into what ifs and worry. So what if we die crossing the mountains? What if we run out of food? What if the old tale was wrong and there is nothing on the other side of the mountain? So the worry, the fear, the what ifs were repeated in their hearts and in their heads. So as the season started to change and winter was upon both tribes, the south decided to stay put, while the tribe in the north left. Eventually, the chief in the south's heart had become so overcome by fear and worry and what ifs that the tribe sat in the valley and eventually starved to death, while the tribe in the north left the valley on a dangerous journey through the mountains. And yes, they might have lost some people due to hunger and cold, but they eventually stumbled upon the valley from the tales of old. So my question is for you: is your head and your heart in the right place?
Preach it. Yes.
Right now in your journey, is your head and your heart in the right place in your journey? And the reason this kind of hit home for me, and I'm glad I did that so quickly, but it kind of hit home for me because fear and what ifs and worry is what I used to tell myself, especially over the past 2 years. So if you guys don't know my story, I left teaching 2 years ago to come home and join Julianne in this business. And it was a hard move. It was something that I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I hit the ground running. I had really, really high expectations for myself. I was going to be diamond by December. I kept writing it down, and it eventually happened. But there was some disconnect in my head and my heart. Because in my heart, my message was, I want to be here to impact people. I was like, in my heart, I wanted it to be leaving a legacy of spiritual, mental, and physical wellness for the people that I interact with. But my head started to get in the way, and I started to tell myself the what ifs. What if I don't hit diamond, or what if I am going to be the only guy in Beachbody? So I just made up a bunch of excuses and a bunch of things that were not serving myself in my journey. So then fast forward 2 years later, just like through continually going through PD, through working out and doing a lot of my own self-care, it just kind of hit me where I needed to just let it go. And so the question that you can also ask yourself right now is, what do I need to bless and release in my own thoughts right now currently? Because I know most of us, or most of you on this call, not us, but most of you on this call, you have young kids, they're going back to school. This is a busy time of year. Things can get hectic, especially going into the fall. Families are doing a lot of different things. We have something coming up on Labor Day. Even for us, and it can be easy to get caught up in what's ahead than what is right now.
Can I add something? I think I even think too, like, if it's okay that I share this, is I'm gonna share anyway.
Hop in here.
We have like 2 minutes. Is Eric was nervous to tell people about our business. Like, if like there was something where in person, and I had gone through that my first year or so as a coach. Can anyone identify with this? But a big thing that he also struggled with his heart and his mind was that if someone were to ask him what it is that we do, that he would stumble with saying that we have our business. Like, it was this understanding that the unconventional didn't need to look like everybody else. And because what we do is so unconventional, it's not like everybody else. And I feel like you had to really battle through that. So yes, like, can I hit diamond, like all these other things. But I think a big thing was too, like, the perception of other people with how we live our life. And we really worked through that. Because if there's one characteristic that I have in this, it's relentless belief. And Eric will always say that, like, I believe so hard in this team, in this journey, and in the company we partner with, all of you, like, it's unreal. But just because I believe it like that doesn't mean that he would. And that was a huge thing. Like, I was not even tripping up about it. So when there are people in your life, that's to the person who you have people saying something to you. This is also to the person who feels it. Like, I was not being tripped up because he wasn't believing like me, but then I was willing to work with him, and you were willing to work through it because you were almost embarrassed that, you know, our friends work at Facebook, at Google, at their teachers, they're this, they're that. And then here we are taking leaps and risks. You really have battled through that. That was a big thing, was the perception of other people, the judgments of others, how to actually say what it is that we do.
Yeah. And I think, like, you kind of hit it too, was like how my belief got stronger was that I had to battle through those thoughts. And to kind of go back to the story, was that when your head and heart are aligned and your belief is so strong, you start to make headways. But I mean, there's times in your life where you're gonna possibly let the what ifs in, and like, how do you course correct that?
And I think one thing that we do is we say, I'm descending, is the word that we use, is like, I'm going there, instead of playing out those scenarios of what if this fails? What if our income drops? You guys, we have more skin in the game than everybody on this call. Eric and I do, hands down. We live in Silicon Valley. The houses here start at $1 million. It's the most expensive place to live in the United States. We're actually literally insane. Like, we have more skin in the game, but that should show we have more belief in the game, right? Of like, go with us, because we are not slowing down. We are not stopping. I had a point to this, but I cannot even remember it. It's fine.
I think it's just like, we want to respect your time, but I think we just love y'all so much, and we want, like, everyone to experience more.
Yeah, more choices, more health, more confidence. A team. Like, what does your team look like? What does your team feel like? What do you want in this? And Eric told me not to do this when I approached him with it. Now look, I was like, and it's not in your face thing, but it's like, man, these workouts, he loves them. Like the performance line, this man loves them. And he loves this team. He loves all this stuff. But the one thing I could control was how much I showed up, how much belief that I had. And now he's doing that. And so what I just think it's beautiful what you're saying, because those two things have to align. Like if you're saying, oh, I want to go diamond, but you don't really feel it, like you don't really have your heart in it, you have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to hit end recording.